The following YouTube cast is a Conscious Waves production.
Hi, I'm Louise.
And I'm Chris.
And we are
Conscious Waves.
Well, welcome to another episode of Everyday Journey Inspiring Conversations.
Yes, welcome everybody.
All right, we're in our second season still,
Yep.
which is great. And how good were our last guests, Rachel and Clinton from the Free Change?
They were great, weren't they?
So energetic and inspiring, and what great outlook on life, I thought.
Absolutely, yeah. Considering where they've come from and what they saw, and it's amazing to see how you can, move forward in life and make good changes and be very comfortable with it.
Yes, that's right. And, making the best of everything that they had. And all of it was inspired by helping their kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is a bit like, well, maybe not our next guest as inspiring our kids, but got on her journey due to some chronic health issues.
Oh, okay.
So when she was young, she had chronic fatigue and irritable bowel syndrome and a whole heap of stuff when she was like 17, 18.
Yeah, right.
So she was quite bedridden. And I guess when you've got all that time on your hands, it seemed to be the inspiration for her to make some changes, because I think she was having cigarettes and Coke and donuts pretty much as her stable diet.
Yeah, right.
Funnily enough, she's now a nutritionist. So once she started to get herself together, and we'll find this out, I think, she's been able to inspire, and, now she is Noosa Nutrition. So this beautiful guest is coming to us from Queensland, obviously Noosa.
Yeah.
And we're going to find out a whole heap of things about how she got to where she is now, and I'm sure she's going to be doing some amazing promotion of an absolutely wonderful way of living and of, choosing food to suit your needs and help you over a whole heap of conditions. I'm very, very keen. And we also have to thank our beautiful friend and mentor, Bev Multitude. That was, again, one of her suggestions that we get in touch with Honor, because Honor's obviously got a connection with Bev, so we'll find out about that real soon.
Sounds great.
Okay.
All right. We'll see you straight after this break. Okay.
Introducing Everyday Journey, Inspiring Conversations, the show that brings you the most incredible, inspiring, and heartwarming stories straight from the lives of remarkable individuals. Each week, join us on a journey where we meet people who have experienced the extraordinary, do some remarkable things, or make a real difference in the people around them. Our podcast features an incredible array of guests who will leave you in awe. We believe that everyone has a story worth telling, and through this podcast, we provide a platform for these remarkable individuals to share their experiences, inspire others, and remind us all of the power of the human spirit. Get ready to be inspired, uplifted, and moved by the stories that will stay with you long after the episode ends.
Well, welcome back.
Yep, welcome back.
We have our beautiful guest, Honor, with us today. So we've given you a bit of a rundown. So you're from Noosa.
I am.
And so we were just saying you had a nice storm, so you didn't worry about the cyclone, which is a good thing.
Yep.
Yeah, missed the cyclone.
Yay.
Always good to miss a cyclone.
I agree.
All right. So in the introduction, we just gave a quick little overview that you gave us, which was that the reason that you've sort of got onto this path was because of your own illnesses quite early in life. So around about 17 or whatever, you weren't treating yourself so well by the sounds of things.
Very true.
So maybe if we can go back to there, even maybe a little bit before, tell us where you sort of started and how maybe you even got into not being so kind to yourself.
Okay. So where did I start not being so kind to myself, and how did that all happen? That was probably a combination of a few things. Originally, I'm quite a shy person, which is weird when you hear all the stuff that I've done now. But that's helped from Bev. So originally a really shy person, probably quite an introverted person. Saw the world in a really different way. I've always enjoyed contemplating things more deeply. So that probably as a child made me feel quite alienated and different to the other people around me, because I wasn't yeah, I wasn't behaving like any of the other kids around me. And I was really enjoying probably watching all the children around me and just sort of trying to figure out what's going on for them. And so I've always been like that, but probably because I was also really introverted, that can lead to being, and I'm quite over analytical, which is really helpful in certain situations, but probably when you're directing it towards yourself too much, that can lead to not great places, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Mm-hmm.
Right. So you find yourself with chronic fatigue,
Fibromyalgia,
yes, that's right.
arthritis.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm bedridden. I've got sociophobia, agoraphobia. I even had tinnitus.
I read that too, and I thought, congratulations, you've got everything that you needed your whole life in a couple of short years, really.
Yes, totally. I had like 8 different chronic illnesses all at once when I was 17. So, and that lasted till I was about, I think I was coming out of it by the time I was about 20, 21. They slowly started easing as I figured out how to treat them and what the key issues were and what the causes were. Yep.
Yeah.
So it was mostly diet?
Yeah. So for me, it was a combination of definitely diet. Foods were definitely impacting me. So leading up to that period when I had all those chronic illnesses, I was eating a diet of white bread, cheese on toast, donuts, a packet of cigarettes a day, Diet Coke. And hot dogs, I think.
Oh, hot dogs.
yeah, I forgot to mention those earlier, but yeah. So my diet was not very varied. I also was eating Wonder White, which is it's like got 4.5 out of 5 stars of healthiness. So it's meant to be super healthy, but for me, no, it's not actually super healthy. So, and just, being really hard on myself mentally, emotionally. I think was the reason why I got so unwell. And so that's why I delved into studying, because I was like, something has to change. I'm meant to be my fittest and healthiest here. I'm like 17, 18. I'm meant to be going to parties. I'm meant to be feeling great. I'm meant to be like really going after life. So that's when, my stepdad actually part owned at the time Nature Care College, which was at the time one of the biggest, at the time, one of the biggest natural health colleges around. And he was like, maybe you should just start studying health. And so I'd already had like a gut feeling that it was something to do with diet. So I just threw myself in.
Wow.
Nice.
Good on you.
Well, that's pretty good as a sort of teenager in that sort of time to actually self-reflect and go, I actually need to be better to myself, because it could have so gone a different way if you hadn't have gone, hang on a minute, I actually want it to get better, because I think so I'm a teacher, and we've dealt with these sorts of things that they get into the downward spiral and you can't get them out. So you've done that. Good on you. So you studied then nutrition, was it first?
Well, actually, so I finished school. I had a few different options. I was actually enrolled in a number of things because I've always been interested in a number of things. So I was enrolled in Egyptology at Macquarie Uni.
Wow.
Because I'm really interested in that. And I've written a novel based on that. So, but that's another story. I was also doing like level 3 maths to get into astrophysics as well at TAFE, as you do these things. And then
well, you do these things.
And then my other option was naturopathy or nutrition. So I was doing basically the 3 as I graduated year 12, and I really had to figure out I probably need to do just one. And so I decided my health was more important at the time. I made a promise to myself I would come back to those other things, which I have done in other ways. And so that's when I started naturopathy. So I did naturopathy for a year. Then I switched over to nutrition because I realized food was like more important to me.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
And so that's what you're obviously being Noosa Nutrition. This has grown over the years more so, or is it something that's, taken a long time to sort of get to where you are?
It's been a journey. Like I opened my first practice in Sydney, and I became a supervisor. So after graduating in nutrition, I went on and did a science degree, and I also studied herbs and also homeopathy because I really wanted. I love the holism aspect of nutrition and naturopathy, but I really wanted a science base to go with it because I really wanted to be taken seriously, and I really wanted to work with scientists. I always knew I wanted to do that. So then I became a nutritional medicine supervisor back at Nature Care, and I also at the same time opened a clinic in Sydney, which was really great. And I was swamped straight away with clients. And most of them were actually, interestingly enough, and it wasn't my field of choice, most of them were natural fertility clients. So they were really high-powered women with really big careers that just couldn't fall pregnant. So me going through everything I went through and understanding the impact stress had on me, I realized these women needed support nutritionally, but their biggest block for them was actually their stress. So then we worked on stress, and then they all fell pregnant. So that was great. Then I moved to Hervey Bay. That was really fun. Started another practice there. That's where I became a journalist, really.
Oh, right. Yep.
Oh, no, it was in Sydney right before I left. But anyway, yeah, went into the news, like the news media, newspapers in Hervey Bay, and that just kind of grew from there. Released my first book in Hervey Bay.
Approximately what decade are we looking at when this was happening?
So this must have been, I was talking about this over the weekend because I was back in Hervey Bay doing a workshop. I think it was 10 years ago.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 10 years ago. I have a great client base in Hervey Bay, which is still like thriving. They're awesome people in Hervey Bay. I love working with them. And they were, interestingly, very similar clients to how I was when I was unwell. So I was seeing a lot of younger people that weren't eating so great and had at least 2 or 3 chronic illnesses that you shouldn't have till you're like in your 60s, 70s, 80s.
Right.
And these were like kids presenting, with arthritis and gout. And so that was really great for me because I knew how to help them so much. And then we moved to Noosa. Noosa is a different kettle of fish again, totally different clientele. Love the people here. These people, most people are probably here more about like, how can I help tweak their nutrition? They don't often have as many serious illnesses, although I'm treating a fair few cancer patients, which I love, because that's a field that I can really help support people in.
Oh,
and they often feel quite alone because they're a lot of cancer patients are just put through like this really effective but quite regimented cancer treatment system, which has changed over time, and they're so brilliant now, but often they do need a little bit more support. And so I feel really grateful that I can help support them.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Wow, you do some amazing things.
Absolutely.
I know. Wow, that's terrific.
Yeah.
We've had a couple of people on just recently doing a similar thing, like, just really, well, actually not a similar thing, but related, I guess. So we talked to a lovely lady, her name's Trencher, and she's the Middle Path, and they're at Mullaney in Queensland.
Oh, nice.
She makes tinctures and does lots of natural things from her property.
Nice.
And she actually, it's a lot with weeds and, all that natural stuff, and she makes those. So we probably should get you in touch with her.
I'd love to.
Lovely weekend, and she wanders you around around her property with her husband. And
beautiful.
it was the same sort of thing that she ended up not being so great, being by herself. Like I think she got married, then ended up being by herself, got quite sick, happened to live with this, I don't know, she was unit sharing or house sharing, and this guy was a vegetarian, and she changed her whole diet, and then she got better, and that was hers was a great story. And then she's gone on and really researched it all. The people that we had on just before you, they're the Free Change, and they've got they left the whole society pretty much because their kid got sick, and so they took around in a bus
That's cool.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
so cool. And they do drop shipping for I can't remember. I'll have to look at them. And
Yes.
that's natural remedies, essential oils for different things.
Amazing.
But she just couldn't get her kid to, the more doctors she was going to, the worse he was getting. Really.
That's it.
She just went, we can't do this anymore.
Yeah,
So
that's it.
And so they've been homeschooling their kids, and they just travel, and they're coming up to Queensland soon. So we might get you in touch with them as well.
Oh yeah, I'd love to touch base.
Oh, they just seem like they were absolutely brilliant.
Lovely.
And
well, that's what I love.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Oh, I was just going to say, so that's what I love about my work as well. And that's why I wanted to work with science, because I was finding that same thing of where I really wanted to, there were areas in the science field and the medical field where they're not quite hitting the mark with a lot of patients, and synthetic medications aren't always working. And it makes sense that they wouldn't, because our body is natural. So it really does respond better to natural things. Yes. And that's why I wanted to get a science degree and become a journalist, so I could actually interview some of these brilliantly exquisite scientists and actually ask them, hey, what's going on? Like, what do you think is working? What's not working? And then what are some alternative measures? And particularly in journalism and the science world at the moment, it's really exciting for people like me, because they're actually finally doing research in the field of food. They're not anymore just in synthetic drugs. They've actually realized, okay, why are people in India doing so well on turmeric? Why are people in Japan? Why do they have like almost no menopausal symptoms? Why do they smoke yet their cancer rates are so low? So it's a really exciting period of time. Yeah, because they're actually now researching things like turmeric, things like weeds, things like gut bacteria, which is so fascinating. Really, really exciting things where you can get really effective treatments that are now scientifically proven. And it's with things like blueberries, for instance, because they're actually using blueberries to treat post-traumatic stress patients now.
Oh, wow.
Alongside the really strong chemical antidepressants, because they've found that the blueberries are so powerful in an antioxidant, anthocyanin, that it actually protects their body from some of the symptoms of extreme stress. Wow. So they don't lose their hair, they're not stressing as much, they don't have so much chronic disease. And this is just a simple food like blueberries.
Yeah. Fascinating. Wow, and they're delicious.
And they're delicious.
And we can grow them. We grow them at home.
We grow them at home.
Yeah, well, there you go. You're so lucky. And in the field of childhood behavioral issues, that's a huge field that I love, because as soon as you take all the additive foods out of that child's diet, you see almost a completely different child.
So I agree with that.
Well, we did that. We did homeopathy with our son because he had meningitis when he was 6 months old.
Oh, wow.
And then just kept getting ear infections and ear infections and ear infections. And then a friend of ours said, look, have you tried this? So he wasn't eating, wasn't sleeping and all of that sort of stuff. And yeah, we went, and after one dose, or 1 week, I should say, my mum came back and went, this is a totally different child. And we went, there he is.
Yeah.
And then
so quickly.
And then as we got them to school, like we had a daughter who hardly got sick. Hang on a minute. She got sick. We didn't have to take her to the doctor very much. She wasn't the same sort of thing as our first child. But if they started to get sick, Matthew in the end would just say, just can we just go to Ken's drops? Just Ken's drops, instead of going, like we loved going to visit Dr. Dibley. She was wonderful, but he just knew that there was just going to be, and this was him as he was just speaking, just being, that's the better option.
Because he's hearing his body. Like, his body is telling him. And isn't it interesting that the whole concept of vaccines came off the concept of homeopathy? So homeopathy is like treating like.
Yes. Yeah.
So for instance, like kids that are really super overactive with ADHD, you'll give them a tiny dose of coffee, like potentized coffee, and their body will self-correct itself. Exactly.
We love that whole that thing. But also then going to school, we had them on, like you couldn't buy the muesli bars and all the other things that they're because of all the preservatives that were in it, and the amount of sugar. So we would have different things, and you'd notice when they'd go off to a birthday party,
Oh, totally.
They come back like these children, like,
It's
oh
like,
my God, they're possessed.
Oh no, that's not good.
Yes, it is like that. And even just gluten sensitivity, like all the stuff they do to our wheat, you know, like they genetically modify our wheat so severely just so that it's more resilient to pests. And, you know, they just genetically mess with it as well so that it can handle how much Roundup they spray on it. Yet a lot of the time, they're not washing off that Roundup before they process it into Wonder White with all the stars and, you know, and all the other processed foods. And we're ingesting that. We're ingesting not only the genetic modification, but also the Roundup. And what's that do? Like, are there any surprises? Why?
And the body's just going, don't like this.
Particularly with young children where their body is so clean and pure and so untouched and so sensitive and they're so much smaller. So a small dose affects them in a huge way.
Yeah. And it really doesn't, when you really think about it, it makes no sense. Like so I'm going all the way back to the 1970s when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Shops mostly opened like Saturdays.
Yeah.
Or even if it was for half a day.
Yeah.
And Thursday nights. So you could shop nearly every day but Sunday. And then it changed. We got more and more, you know, so more and more refrigeration, more and more everything. So we could actually go to the shops more often. Yes. When you look at what happened back in the 1970s with all of the preservatives that got added to everything, that made no sense that we needed more preservatives when you had more access to shops.
Yes.
When you really think about it. I remember it wasn't until I was older that I thought this, but even my grandma said, like, we just used to have fresh stuff. Everything used to be fresh and they'd eat them quickly and, you know, like you'd eat your fruit and off you'd go, you know, like
absolutely.
only you shopped when you needed to and everything was
absolutely.
fresher. Now we can shop all the time, yet there's more preservatives in absolutely everything that we eat, which makes, to be honest, no sense whatsoever.
Well, it's cheaper. I think it all comes back when you look at it. It all comes back to being cheaper and easier for the food producers themselves.
Yes.
So it's much easier for them to just bulk make really cheap products. And even if they've got to have them sitting on the shelf in their factory and then send them off to Woolies or wherever they're going as they need to, if they're lasting longer, that's much better for them because it's a more viable product.
Yeah.
And if it's using cheaper, just worse quality products, that's also better for them because their margin for making more money is better. So I think a lot of the time it comes down to money, unfortunately, for these big companies, because I'm learning this as I'm developing a product with CO2, which is this great algae company who they're a bunch of marine engineers and scientists they're like basically I'm working with a group of like mega geniuses.
Nice.
Feel really lucky to like work with. And their whole focus is basically saving the planet. How can we release more oxygen into the atmosphere? How can we trap more carbon dioxide? What foods and other products can we release that are great, like high quality products that are great for people and animals and and basically the world. So I'm working on that at the moment, trying to develop a pet food that is vegan. So and using algae as the main protein, because algae is super high in protein and really, really high in omega-3 fatty acids. So omega-3 fatty acids are really good for the brain and for switching off chronic diseases, all sorts of things. But then the side benefit is it's also helping the planet because obviously most of the dog foods and cat foods that are out there that are meat-based are really bad for the environment because they're using all these terrible, poor quality meats. They're also really bad for the animals. Like, I don't know if you've noticed, but cancers in animals has gone up so significantly. And I think the correlation there is the poorer quality in food products they're eating.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's interesting actually making a food product and then having to cost it because we want our quality to be really good.
Yes.
So it's interesting. It's fun.
Well, how long have you been doing that for anyway? That sounds like an awesome side project.
Only a couple of months. Like, well, probably it started off, we were looking at doing it for humans. We were trying to develop like well, they first contacted me probably about a year ago because they'd seen my cookbooks. So I've released 3 now, and they wanted me to maybe do an algae cookbook for humans.
Wow.
So they sent me, I got all this exciting stuff in a package sent to me, opened the box, and I had like a pack of green algae and paste, and I had protein powder from algae, and I had like this exciting box. And they were like, just figure out how you can put it into recipes and see what's palatable, because it's so good for you. Like it's kind of like chlorella or spirulina, but also there's a protein powder version of it which is vegan and really good for the planet and really good for you. So that's how it first started, and then that kind of adapted into, hey, how about pet food? And we were like, yeah, let's try that.
Wow.
Oh, good. Oh, well, that is exciting. So do you reckon you're close-ish to having something that's palatable for pets?
Oh, definitely. Yes, definitely. We've already developed at least 3 products that will be good. So now that we're at the next stage of, the business side of things.
Oh, that's exciting. Well, if you've tested it out on a Labrador like we have, he'd eat it anyway because he'd eat anything.
Yeah.
I need more fussy. I probably need fussier animals, but I'll send you guys some. If you give me your address, I'll post you some.
We'll give you feedback on that.
I was going to say he's probably not the best judge, but I mean, happy to try it.
If he wants to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything to do with food.
Yeah.
We can train him to do anything.
Yeah. Oh, good. That's handy.
A little bit of something. You'll go, yep.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
That's so exciting. So you've got recipe books. You're a journalist.
Yep.
You've got your own nutrition company. And you're doing this little sidekick for
the CO2 they call
CO2. Yep, that's right. Anything else? Do you have any time to do anything else?
That's what my husband's seriously like, you have to slow down. Like, can you not just stop? Like, because I have real trouble sitting through movies. I walk out the middle of movies, like in cinemas and stuff, because I'm just like, I don't have time to do this. So I think it does come back to, though, that I was bedridden for like several years. And so I think in me, there's been, as soon as I became better, there's been this spark always in me of this huge energy that just wants to be useful. Like, and because I grew up in a Steiner school as well, they really cultivated in all of us, just see how far you can go with all your potentials, like the fun and joy in life. And this is what I try and really engage with people that I'm talking to if I'm doing a workshop or something, because I think a lot of people forget how unique and amazing and how much their potential is there. They don't know how to uncover it or don't even look. I was taught really early on, like, just go like a treasure chest, like go discover what's in you and figure out how far you can go with it. So so I also did music composition all my life. So that was another thing I was meant to do. So I write music still, which has won awards, which is pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
Well, mostly I don't care about that. It's just mostly fun.
Yeah.
It's just mostly really fun. And right now I'm doing that with my daughter, who's a cellist, which is really beautiful. So I'm a pianist. And I've always loved piano with strings. And so that's really fun to teach her how to kind of do that. And I've also just finished a novel that's taken me about 5 years or maybe more.
Wow.
I don't know. I'm saying it's finished because I wrote the last lines. I'm hoping that I can just edit it from there. So that's been I have a lot of loves that capture me. And I think that's why I do quite well, because I'm not very good. Like, my brain seems to work better when I'm floating between like a balance of quite a few different avenues.
Yeah, that's great. And maybe that's just really, really helpful for other people to think, if they can't concentrate on one thing, they might think they're failing, but maybe they need to be.
They just need to switch to something else.
And I think sometimes just walking away from something and then coming back to revisiting is sometimes really helpful as well.
Totally. Well, and I've listened to a lot of podcasts on geniuses like Einstein and like genius mathematicians, and often they come up with their biggest ideas, not when they're sitting at the table pushing, but when they walk away and contemplate, like they look at a tree or they go for a walk and look at a river, and they're in a completely different part of their brain that's more open to the universe, I guess, and more open to wonder and awe, like really connected to a different part. And then suddenly the idea will just come to them, like it's downloaded to them. And so I find that really interesting, and I think that's really a useful tip for anybody that is feeling stuck, is just to do something completely different. Engage in nature.
I love that idea too, because we had a lovely lady, Kimberly, that we met through Bev when we were at a soiree with Ken Davis, and she's an amazing woman that does a lot of things, but what we got her on the podcast and we talked a lot about was her it's pretty much a volunteer work, really. They've started a thing on the Northern Beaches called Share the Spark. Cool. And what she does is for kids who are quite troubled and, almost suicidal and whatever, she gets them into this program and they get a mentor. And then they have these things, and she has a spark tank. So instead of the shark tank, so these young kids are developing things. So
that's so cool.
This year, and look, go onto their website. It's amazing what I've read about quite a few of these young kids. And they purified they made something. I can't even remember, but it was brilliant. I can't believe I can't remember that now. It was in my mind just a minute ago. But her whole point is to stay curious. She's always curious. She learned so much as a kid, so much about religion because she went to different churches because they all just said things. She wanted to find out about them. And so because she's forever been curious about things, she's often had more than one thing on the go at the same time. And you're sort of saying a similar thing. I think sometimes, especially going through school as such, I mean, having a teacher myself, I understand that the system has been broken for some time, and I would love for it to be able to fix. Lucky, I'm a music teacher, so I have a different way of helping kids create and whatever, and I've done a lot to do with well-being, so I can be sort of on the outskirts of the system as such. But getting kids to do more than one thing, because I think the system fails them. Like, you've got to do one thing. Like, you're asked in year 8, well, what are you going to do? So then you have to do that elective, and then they ask you again at the end of year 10, well, what are you going to do? Well, that's what you have to do in year 11 and 12. You get to year 11 and 12, what are you going to do for this university? And it's condensing and condensing and condensing them rather than actually going, geez, these are all the possibilities. And,
absolutely,
you've got to make choices so early. And that's my biggest fear for the future, is that we're limiting our kids so much.
Definitely.
We hear these other people that have just gone with passions and done more than one thing. They're thriving at everything they're doing. They're living a great balanced life. It's almost like we're not allowed to do that anymore. Like, you seem to be almost in a minority. We're just lucky we've been able to interview people like this on our podcast. But,
you must be like it too if you're attracting people like this.
Well, we do more than one thing.
Yeah, of course we do. 100%.
But society
more all the time. Like, we just have this love of learning, so we're never going to be fully learned everything. We can always get inspired by somebody else that might be, like you said, you're stuck at something. Hearing a conversation in some of these or rehearing them, you go, remember
that conversation that we had with that person?
That's how it goes. And that's why we see other people to inspire other people. And
totally. Well, and I was very lucky. I was very lucky early on because I had a lot of mentors myself. Like, I seem to attract mentors at different periods of my life. One of them I had from the time I was 14 to the time I was 20, maybe 30 almost. I was very lucky. He was an astrophysicist. He had a doctorate in divinity. He was a naturopath. He was an Egyptologist. He was one of the most brilliant, special people I've ever met. He inspired me. That's why I think I became like that too. But he always said to me, and he studied languages all the time. Like, he was constantly learning and constantly studying. Because it's that curious brain that I think keeps a spark alive. Like, I always have, and some people have trouble with this, but I do always have like a why. Why is that? Why? Like, even when I'm treating a patient, I'm like, seeing them, listening to everything they're telling me, it's like a jigsaw puzzle to me of why are they presenting all these symptoms? There must be, I've got to put all this information together, and how will I best serve them? How will I best treat them? But his name was Dr. Groves, and he used to always say, the more I learn that I don't know. And that's an old saying that people bandy around, but how true it is. Because as soon as you start to learn something in one field, you go, oh my gosh, there's all the rest that I could learn.
Yeah, 100%.
The more you know, the more you don't.
Yeah,
something
exactly.
like that.
Yeah,
it's a wonderful
yeah.
saying. And it's unfortunate that it sort of gets bandied around, because it's one of the truest statements you'll find.
It's so true. And I think you're right. You're touching on that society really wants to pigeonhole people.
Absolutely.
Society, our culture, our schooling system, governments, pretty much everything. I guess it's easier for them to do that. I don't know what it is, but it's really life-sucking. Like, I see kids and grown-ups who are specialized just in one thing, and they have lost joy because, sure, they probably started out really loving that one thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
But to be told that's the only one thing that you can do for the rest of your life.
They get to a point where they're just running through the paces. They're just doing.
Yeah, it's
I feel like
unconscious.
they're just doing their bit, and that's
it becomes completely unconscious. And I think I love to engage people in unpacking themselves a bit more and seeing themselves as bigger. And with my second book, this concept came to my mind of that phrase, you are made of stardust. And I wondered, is that real? Like, is that actually true? And I was really lucky to contact an astrophysicist from NASA who happened to be married to this like brilliant lecturer from Stanford Uni. And I got to interview both of them for like 2 weeks on, are we actually made of stardust? And we are literally made of stardust. And like even now, invisibly, most of our cells, parts of our cells are being actually swapped out with invisible stardust that's filtering through us all the time. And yet we see ourselves so simply, like so small. I'm just a cleaner, or I'm just a mum, or I'm just a whatever. We never like connect with this huge concept of our true potential, that we are made of stardust, that we've got gold in us, that we've got a universe of gut bacteria in us that's programming our immune system and the way that we think and the way that we feel. We're so narrow focused and so down on how we see ourselves as a society. And I agree. I think I'd love to see that change. Like, I'd love to see more exciting people being like engaging with kids who are still excited.
Young kids can be just so excited for, they're risk takers. And I think we've stopped being risk takers in a lot of times. And it's disappointing. I mean, there's plenty of times in my life that I've not ever taken a risk, and I look back and think, that was missed opportunity, So hindsight's wonderful, and the older you get, the more you realise, right, you just got to
take it. If it's
start doing it, but encouraging other people. And something else I heard in your conversation too, which I thought was lovely, is how can I best serve these people?
Yeah.
We're all here to serve other people.
Yeah.
And instead of it all just being for us, I mean, look after yourself and treat your body well and whatever. But the better you treat yourself, the more you can then serve others.
Yeah.
Not having a selfish thing, but the selfless side of things. And the more that we can connect that way, I think, how good everything.
Well, the happier we are. We're actually human beings. And I'm stealing some stuff from a Netflix documentary I just watched with the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu, which is called Mission Joy. Because I'm really into joy at the moment. I feel like that's such a missing element for so many people, and it really re-engages you. But I think and I find from my own experience as well, particularly when I was 17, my whole world was just me. I was really introverted. I was really just thinking about me all the time. That's a fairly normal mental state probably for most teenagers to be in. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I think as you choose to change your perspective, and do things more for others, that actually creates happiness straight away. Because as humans, I think we're innately good. We actually want to help the people around us. We want to serve innately. I think when we turn that just to ourselves, I think people can become really fixated just on themselves. I think that's when anxiety can peak, when illnesses can get worse as well. And one of my more recent mentors, he's a Sufi, so he's all about service to others, really. So my whole mission is just do what I can to serve, whether it's the world as far as the environment goes, or just the person that's in front of me, even if I'm just buying something from the shop. If like, and not in an overtly, I don't want to rescue anyone, because I've learned you can't really do that. But if it changes perspective just simply on my drive, on why I'm doing something, like even just writing music, if my drive is a service and, you know, from every aspect, writing a novel, interviewing a scientist, if my drive, even the pet food, if my drive is service, you've almost got unending energy there. And it creates joy. So the quality of what you're doing becomes better, plus you're unendingly fulfilled, and hopefully that is carried across to whoever is around you.
Yeah, agree.
Yep, I love that.
Yeah.
Now, something else that I ask a lot of the people that we have on, it's not the big question at the end, but it's something else that I do like to find out. So you've obviously had so many experiences, right? So do you have like a favorite moment or something that just went, you know what, I can remember this especially, and this is what I learned from it?
Wow, okay. One moment. Probably one of them. I have so many, and I've had so many incredible people in my life that have taught me a lot. Probably one is how terrified I was of public speaking or being out there, basically being seen at all, how terrified I was of that. Well, I had agoraphobia. Like, I literally was stuck in my bedroom for 2 years straight. Like, my mum actually had to pay me to go to the mailbox because I was that terrified of going out. It was very severe. So as soon as I graduated, I realized very quickly I would have to do public speaking, and that completely terrified me. And I was, in the past, I would have probably given up everything in order to avoid public speaking, but I realized I've done too much hard work here. I'm just going to have to learn how to do this. And I think the turning point for me was being terrified, having to do a public talk on nutrition, getting really prepared, literally being terrified. Like, I think for the first, I don't know how many, 30 or 40, I literally thought I was going to throw up every time or have a panic attack. And the weirdest thing was getting up there going, okay, I'm up here, being nervous at first, but then there was this point of surrender, and there was this point where I suddenly realized I'm really good at this. And it was such a surprise. Like, it was such a surprise, and then just letting go. So that still happens for me, where I'm still nervous, but I let go, because I know I seem to be strangely good at it, particularly when I let go and I trust.
Yep.
And I think that was a big learning point for me, where I went, okay, you feel the fear and you do go ahead with it. You don't back off. Because my whole life before that point was, oh my gosh, I feel overcome with anxiety. I can't do this. I'm going to pull away from that activity because that will keep me safer. This was the first time I went, I'm terrified. I'm full of anxiety. I'm about to throw up. I'm about to have a panic attack. I'm going to do it anyway.
Nice.
and to see yourself succeed.
Yeah, that's great. That's amazing. And look, all these people that feel the same. Like I
So
being
true.
a teacher too, these kids that can't get up, similar thing to you, I can't do it. I can't
Yeah.
perform my song. I'm going, but you practiced and
Yeah.
whatever. And just trying to encourage them that it's all part of it. You know,
It's all part of it. The struggle's part of it.
nerves are so important, because if
Yeah.
you don't care, you're never
They're
going to
gonna-
perform well. That's
Well, I
my
think
whole thing. It's a
that's
nervous
so
excitement.
true.
You care about what you're doing. So sometimes I'm able to separate it for the kids with music.
Yeah.
I go, well, people are actually listening to the music, not you.
Yes.
So how about you just perform the music properly? Do the composer a service.
Yeah. Yeah.
Put your own interpretation on it and whatever. But if they can enjoy it, there's your service. They're not actually looking at you necessarily.
They're not judging you. They're on your side. I think that was the thing I realized. I think there's a few things there. I think we put the limits on ourselves.
Yep.
So we tell ourselves, hey, I can't do it. And we don't question. Sometimes we don't question it. So we just accept that as the truth.
That's right. Yep.
And so we put all these limits on ourselves instead of just going through, hang on, what happens if I go do it? And then you see yourself actually do it. And then that changes those self-limiting ideas. But also, everybody in the audience or anybody watching the children or whoever's performing, they're all on your side. They're there to experience that person being them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I agree. And it is funny. It's all our own limitations that stops us from doing everything.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
It's trusting the process.
It is trusting the process.
Yeah.
This is exactly what we recorded.
And getting out of our own way.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's
exactly
it's so
right.
true. And you know, it's funny how, like, I'm glad that I grew up when I grew up and not where my kids are, and not even where kids at school are now, because this whole social media thing and that everything's got to be perfect and they're expected. There's so much more expectation on how people view you, and that whole they can be distant because they can say whatever they like over Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or Snapchat or wherever it is that we never had. Like, you know, we had a phone call or a kid in the playground. And I think it's probably why there is so much more anxiety now than there was when we were growing. I'm not saying that there wasn't any or people, but, you know, it just has become quite, much more grand in scale.
Definitely. That's so true. That's so true.
So it's an interesting one. So I've actually just given you a really good book idea. I just thought I'd tell you that, because you know, how many good stories. You need to write a book on your amazing stories, because that'd be fantastic. I'd love that.
She doesn't need another book to write. She's
hang on a minute.
Oh no, I can't stop. So that's a good idea. I'll take you up on that.
Could you imagine? That'd be brilliant for us to find out all of those amazing experiences that you've had. When you said there was so many, well, there's a book. There you go.
That's true. I actually also really like the idea of dealing with modern day anxiety. That because when you were talking about that gave me another book idea.
Oh, good. Well, there's two book ideas.
Well, there you go.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Oh, that's funny.
Very funny.
Oh, we are all inspiring, aren't we?
Right.
You are.
We're all connected.
We are all connected like stardust.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. I am
always. And that was the other thing I found super interesting just about that. Carell, who's the NASA scientist, was like, we don't ever think about it, but we're literally always connected to the universe. Like literally, always, always, always. The only thing that doesn't change over time is our teeth with stardust. But the rest of the time, we are literally all connected through the galaxy.
Yeah.
Well, I sort of believe that, you know, and you've heard that sort of thing. Now knowing that it's, you know,
it's actually scientifically true.
True.
That really makes any difference. But it just sort of inspires a little bit more to go, okay, well, I need to really acknowledge this a little bit more and see how much I can use it, how much I can, you know, bring that to my forefront of understanding. So when I'm saying affirmations, when I'm talking to people, you know, like
when when you're telling yourself, I can't do this. Oh, really? Like, you're made of stardust. Are you sure you can't do this?
Exactly.
So we sort of do sprinkle fairy dust on things as we go through life.
And that's the reason why we do what we do here now.
Yeah.
To tell people that we are connected, and it's listening to other people's stories and growing from that and being connected with each other in different ways. And,
definitely.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, I think we've come to the point.
Okay.
This is my favourite question.
It's your favourite question.
Right? Which I think is probably, I don't know if everybody else likes it as much, but it does happen at the end. But so if you had the attention of the whole world right now.
Yeah.
What kind of advice could you give them or share an inspiration?
Just like go for it. Like know that you are so much more than what you think you are. Like know that you are so much more unlimited than the tiny limits, like the tiny box you often put yourself in. You are so much more expansive, so much bigger than that. You have so much more potential in you that you just haven't had a chance or desired to look at yet, but go look at it unafraid. Like go explore your potential, like unlock everything in you, like unpack yourself and start reviewing all the different treasures that are in you and see how far you can go with each one. Like, because we're here for a reason. And it can't just to be living a boring life that culture has pigeonholed us into.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
That's probably what it would be my main, and live with joy.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Oh, they're all so good. I love that. We'll have to do another one of those where we get all our guests just doing their inspirations at the end, because that was a fun episode too, just finding out how amazing. And there is that fine thread still.
Yeah.
Everybody's saying the same. These wonderful people that we have on are all saying the same thing. It's just be the best version of yourself. You know, do all of these things. You're giving them another layer of, well, do it like this. You know, like,
well, do it from a fun perspective. Like, do it for joy. Like, do it. It is so fun. It's so fun to go, oh my gosh, I've got that in me too. Like, let's try and develop that, whatever that is. Because so many people go, oh, I'm not good at art, or I'm not a very creative person. That's baloney. That's just one of those self-limiting labels. Just it comes in all different shapes and sizes, whatever you want to experience yourself as. And life's meant to be fun.
Yep. And we forget. We forget.
Yeah. We get really caught in seriousness. Why do we have to make it serious? Who says?
Yeah.
Let's make it fun. Like, forget about all that boring stuff and just like take life and go, I'm going to live it.
That's it.
I love that. Well, there we go. So it's Miss Stardust we're going to call her now. That's
cool.
There you go. You got a nickname now.
I got a nickname. I love that nickname.
Yeah, Miss Stardust.
Oh, thank you.
I like that. Oh, no. I'll always remember that now. So that's going to be even better. Because I need reminding too of, you know, like I said, we can always improve. So I love all those things that, you know, I say affirmations that change them up. When I go for my walk, I like to have a different thought process of different things. So that's going to be a real inspiration for me as well.
Well, just be inspired by yourself. Like, you are each a unique being with so much in you. Like, I think, don't look at other people as much as it's all in you. Like, each person's journey is all within them to unlock all the treasure trove in there. Like, get excited about that. Like,
for sure.
As well. But reading and hearing about other inspiring people is super exciting. Like that Mission Joy is a great one on Netflix.
Yeah, that would be definitely worth a watch. I'm excited about that. Good. That's great. Well, so now you can unselfishly do a whole heap of advertising for all and stuff. We'll also put the link to your Instagram and your website as well.
Thanks, guys.
Videocast as well. But go promote yourself. Go and do that one of those speeches.
I just love helping people, however, and I love engaging with super exciting people. I'm always surrounded by really exciting, brilliant people of all different characters, and I love helping someone transform from unhealthy to healthy. I love interviewing interesting people. I just like to be engaged with people that feel like they're ready for change, or their child is, or their partner is, and they want help with that. If I can help them, I'd love to do that with them.
So everybody can find out that you do courses, you've got books, you've got other things all via your website, which is Noosa Nutrition.
NoosaNutrition.com.au. So I work with all different sorts of people, work with children with behavioral issues, just simple weight loss or very, very serious chronic disease, whatever it may be. And I've got books there. they can just reach out if they just want to get an idea of if we'd work well together.
Nice.
Yeah, they can just check
do
out my
workshops
website
as well.
I do workshops and talks, so they're on my website too. So
I knew that because that's why I asked the question. So
So it'll be someone else now that we have to visit when we come up to Queensland.
Yes,
So
yes.
we're putting a tour together now.
Oh, that's
We
a
need
great
to-
idea.
We've got lots of people. We've got a wonderful community group that's on the Sunshine Coast that we help set up. So we want to go and visit Julie and all her friends, but we're going to also visit the Middle Path people.
Treasure
and
and-
visit you.
Amazing.
Yeah,
I'd love
it's
to
like-
visit you guys. We can have a coffee and a chocolate chia pudding I could make you, or
Oh,
Yum.
that's all right. That sounds
yeah,
good.
yeah.
That sounds great.
Definitely going to go and buy one of the books, I think, because
Yeah.
they did look very fascinating. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
nice.
Oh, thanks, guys.
That's
It's
my-
been lovely.
add to my recipes.
Yeah,
Well,
why
my
not? You're a
recipes.
good
I
cook,
love
so you
cooking.
might as well do it.
And I love getting new inspiration. So, yeah, that looks good.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right.
Well, it's been lovely meeting you guys and chatting with you.
Absolutely.
so very, very much.
I love your work. I love what you're doing.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Well,
we
I think
love
we
doing
need,
it.
yeah, we do, and it's
Yeah.
great that we've got more people that can, keep sharing
Sharing
their
these
amazing
stories.
abilities and
Yeah.
and inspiration. So, I'm so super glad that we were patient and we finally got to do this. I think
Yes.
patience seems to be popping up for us quite a bit
Yeah,
lately, but
absolutely.
it's always worth it. So
Yeah.
worth it.
Yeah. No, I've really enjoyed it.
Okay.
And I can't wait to see what you do. I'm going to research. I mean, you guys, that'd be fun to put a book together of all your guests.
Oh,
Ooh.
there we go.
We might
You could-
do that.
Yeah,
There
that
you
would
go.
sell a lot and call it like inspirational conversations or whatever you want to
Yeah,
call
I
it.
like that.
Something, yeah, we'll
Yeah.
get more into next
Yeah.
year, and then we'll be off doing that. That's a
Yeah,
great idea.
absolutely. Yeah,
There we go. Look at us inspiring.
yeah, I love it.
Well, it's been really beautiful to meet you guys, and
And the
love
same.
love the connection there.
Yeah, I love it
All right.
too.
Well, thank you very much. All the very
Thank
best.
you.
I hope there's no cyclones
you.
your way, and have a wonderful Christmas.
Christmas.
Thanks, you too.
All right.
I'm sure we'll be catching up soon.
Indeed.
Yeah, cool. Take care.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Introducing Everyday Journey, Inspiring Conversations, the show that brings you the most incredible, inspiring, and heartwarming stories straight from the lives of remarkable individuals. Each week, join us on a journey where we meet people who have experienced the extraordinary, do some remarkable things, or make a real difference in the people around them. Our podcast features an incredible array of guests who will leave you in awe. We believe that everyone has a story worth telling, and through this podcast, we provide a platform for these remarkable individuals to share their experiences, inspire others, and remind us all of the power of the human spirit. Get ready to be inspired, uplifted, and moved by the stories that will stay with you long after the episode ends.
Well, welcome back.
Welcome back. How amazing. Oh,
Ah,
what a
wow.
terrific woman.
We just seem to have some amazing people at the moment
Yeah.
that I don't know, they're just we're all connected,
Yeah,
and
we
that's
are. What
just
about
how
that
we just say it.
stardust? We are literally stardust.
I know.
That's amazing.
And it's scientifically
I know,
proven.
scientifically proven.
So
You can't
any-
just say
any-
that we're out there,
So any person out there that says no, that's not right, then we'll give you
talk to the person from NASA.
talk to the person from NASA, and I'm sure they might set you straight on that one.
They might.
Yeah.
Well, I think she was absolutely wonderful. I love their inspiration. I love just how interesting and how much she does.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's also a really good thing too. We might look at doing a tour, and also too we might have to look at doing a book too.
Oh, book.
Ah,
We might.
well,
I
we're
think
going
we
to
need
do the desert.
Oh,
We're
yeah,
going
we've
to
got
do
lots to
some
do.
traveling. We're going to look at doing a tour. Yeah,
Why not?
Book in there
Yeah,
too.
well, we've got to do a lot of things too to keep us interested and balanced and joyous and
Absolutely.
why not live the best life we can?
Yeah, and remember, like we've always said, if you want to be part of, inspiring conversations with us, well, then you've just got to jump on and register, and then
Send us an email.
send us an email.
Or you can
And
message us through our Facebook page or anything. Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. And we'll be in touch with you, and it doesn't matter where you are around the world.
That's
As
right.
you can tell, we can get in touch anywhere.
Anywhere. We've done that before and we'll do it again.
I'm sure we will be. Yeah, definitely.
All right.
All right. Have a great day
Yep.
or evening or wherever you are around the world.
Yep.
I'm Chris,
And I'm Louise.
and we are Conscious Waves.
Okay,
See
you
ya.
later.
Bye.